Hi, everyone. Welcome to Deeper Insights with Dr. Marcia Levi. It is my pleasure to host you today. I have with me a few friends, Cheryl Callahan, Katie Martin, Dr. Mark Brown, and Thomas Skeeter. And today in our conversations, we will be discussing money matters as your health is a priority. So one thing to consider that today I'm going to be going over the 5 principles to optimal health. One of those principles, so your nervous system holds out the table. If you imagine this table like we're sitting at, this beautiful table, and each leg is it's a principle. The first one is nourishing food. The second one is appropriate exercise. The third one, adequate rest and relaxation, followed by a positive mental attitude. And today, what we're going to do is discuss money as it relates to your health and what ought to be your attitude toward it. So if you're like me, you have a preconceived notion of what somebody should or should not say to you regarding your money and your health. We're hoping today through our conversation and in communication with you, so you're welcome to add your questions in or comments for us, is to how can we make money not matter when it comes to making sure your health is the priority? So although money matters, how do you not make it the driving force? How can you make it not interfere with the quality and quantity of health information that you receive? So we start with Ecclesiastes chapter 11, verse 2. In most versions of the Bible, such a beautiful, wise book, they describe having multiple streams of income. As an entrepreneur, accidental entrepreneur, I choose to be a doctor and I'm an entrepreneur as well. Happy accidental entrepreneur. One of the biggest things that is often said is you ought to have multiple streams of income. I like the New Living Translation version because what it does, it reminds us by using the word investments that when we think of income, you're actually creating an investment for your body, for your mind, for your money. And so today we will get a chance to discuss how does that principle in the Bible relate to your positive mental attitude and one of my 5 principles to optimal health. There are a few books that are wise in the Bible, Proverbs being one, and right after Proverbs comes Ecclesiastes. And if you read the book of Ecclesiastes, there's a whole bunch of what things can you do to operate better. So I don't believe there's anyone under the sun who would not want to have a better quality of health. And 2 of the things that we do at Optimal Care Chiropractic, we just say, maintain your health to maximize your potential. And then at Optimal Oasis, mindful movement matters. So with those 2 taglines today, we get to incorporate it into what optimal care really means. You've heard me say it before, optimal care is self-care. And because it is self-care, when your money does not matter, you are the primary responsible party. And I'm going to repeat that. This conversation is more about you, the individual, about us as individuals. So as a health practitioner, I use Luke 4:23, physician heal thyself, because just last week I had a doctor's visit and she had asked me to do something 3 months ago. And she asked me when I saw her last week, had I done it? And I had forgotten. I, Marcia, forgot to take care of my health. She asked me to do something that was out of the norm. But what made it difficult, and I can truly say why I forgot to do it, it was because it was so new, so uncomfortable. She did not write it down. Did you hear me making the excuses? I'd never done it before. I did not really believe in what she asked me to do. Do you see me making all the excuses why I was not compliant? So when I showed up back in her office, I failed her evaluation because I failed her direction. So take that into consideration because your doctors are not your enemies. We are more of your friend than you can even imagine. I'm going to paint a picture for you. When a child declares that they're going to be a doctor, regardless of the type of doctor, as soon as the word doctor comes out of the mouth, or we get our little stethoscope as children. As soon as you decide you're going to be a doctor, for your family and your community, you're set apart. Not intentionally, but unintentionally. You're given more work. There's a higher expectation. Because you declared it, people will give you more things to do, more opportunities, more experiences. People will expect something more of you. I remember as a child reading when my friends were playing. I remember when my friends got a B and I got a B, my teacher said, but you're going to be a doctor. You need to go back and look at this. So I was driven to not only have the information, but to master the information. So from the declaration of I'm going to be a doctor for all doctors, and it's the same thing. If somebody says I'm going to be a mechanic, we give them more opportunities to be a mechanic. If they say I'm going to be a pilot, we give them more opportunities to be a pilot. So nothing was wrong with what they did. One thing that doctors do or have that most people don't have is along the journey of school, we have a high income, debt. They promise us a high income, but we start off with a lot of debt. In order to afford the volume of education and the depth of education we need, we have to pay more for it. So when most of our peers are off earning money in their 20s, we're actually in school for another 8 to 12 years. So somewhere around our late 20s and in our 30s, we have graduated. We finished all our rotations, residencies, attending, all of that. We've finished all of that, and now we're into the world. And the world says you ought to be a business unto yourself. But just before you do that, my recall was that I had a sit-down conversation with our accounting office, and I was shown my number at 9% interest. And then at graduation, I took an oath. So I'm a chiropractor, so I took a chiropractic oath. My friends who are medical doctors take a Hippocratic oath. So I declared I'm going to be a child. As a child, I'm going to be a doctor. We declare that, whatever our passion is. We go through the journey of school. We're given the load of more, and we love it because it's our passion, and we're finished, and we know we are ready to help people. And then we see our number, and they tell us how many hours we need to work to finish that number so that we can go on to have a happy, healthy, basic, reasonable life and prepare for yourself when you're old, because no old doctor should want, right? Prior to heading off into the world, we take that oath. And that oath said, for me as a chiropractor, that I will help people. The gist of the oath, if you look up the Hippocratic or the chiropractic oath, and lots of other professions take an oath too. A promise that says, I will function, as my friends who are attorneys and anybody who's served in the military, anywhere else, you make a promise. That's what we call an oath. You make a promise that you will do this thing. And then if you're a person of integrity, you will do the very thing. So this is me saying your doctors are not the enemy. They're not your mortal enemy. We don't want all of your money. We just want some of it to pay our bills. We just want to be able to eat, take care of ourselves, and when we're old, not to be on the poverty line, really. But because we've already given up so much, and because we're having to learn how to do business, it sounds as if we're trying to get everything from you. So I'm going to leave you with this nugget before I review our principles and I involve my friends at the table into the dialogue. Is consider this. If I asked you to join my practice, or you said, Dr. Levi, help me, and you do not fill out your intake completely, then you're robbing me of the opportunity to give you the whole picture about your health. So how do you make your money matter? You know you're going to have to pay me. And depending on who you are, you may have to pay me a lot of money because your health insurance may not be supporting you in the health journey, right? So how do you maximize that to maintain your health? Fill out your intake completely, fully, details. And if I don't ask you the questions that you'd like to have answered, write them down and bring them into your doctor's office. Start with the front desk. From the time you communicate to the desk, alert them. I've got more than you asked me going on. I may have pain, but I have more things. It helps the team to prepare for you. It helps the doctor to prepare for you. Because in the moment that you enter, we are conscious that there are other people in the space who want us to take care of them as well. And we're conscious of your time and respectful. But if you gave us part information, we will give you a part diagnosis that's going to be ineffective. Because I don't know about other professions, and we'll talk about this, But in the algorithm of a doctor's mind, especially in my mind, is I'm ruling out when you come to me for pain, I'm ruling out the deadlies. Is this cancer? Because women with breast cancer can have low back pain. Men with prostate cancer can have low back pain. You had a fall. I have to rule out, do you have a fracture? Is something chipped? Is there a disc herniated? So I'm running through the algorithms in my head. It's just pathways to come to a decision. The more information you share and the more accurate you are with the information. So if I asked you if you drank water, tell me you don't drink water. You don't like water. Don't give me a well. If I've asked you when you went to the bathroom and you say 1 or 2, is that 1 or 2 times a week or 1 or 2 times a day? Be specific with your doctors by setting some time aside so that you can give up all of the information, because it guides us into what happens next. So I have the joy of using my hands to realign a person's spine. That's the tabletop. So we realign your spine, your nervous system is balanced. Then I will tell you and encourage you into making sure each of your 4 corners, your legs are strong. Nourishing foods. For me, it's culturally and ethnically sound. This year, we're doing small portions, small portions, small portions, small portions. So you can eat your favorite thing under my care, but it has to be small portions, not more than a fistful at a time. Let that digest. And if you'd like more, then go back and get more. Appropriate exercise. Number 1 is making sure that you're breathing and breathing well. Relax jaw, relax shoulders, relax glute muscles. Don't cross your feet. If you must cross, make sure you can change the angle of your ankles to make sure that you're getting adequate blood flow, because blood flow can change how the brain works, and the brain controls every function in the body. That's your central nervous system. You have to make sure that it's doing well for you. After you've had appropriate exercise, so I go from breath all the way up to dancing. The 4th principle that we use for one of the legs is making sure that you're getting adequate rest and relaxation. I separate rest and relaxation. Rest is going to sleep, staying asleep, and waking up refreshed. And relaxation is right now, I'm with a group of my friends and I'm relaxed. If you were present at one of our previous webinars when I actually did the oximeter to show that I started out at breath rates at 94, and as I spoke, instead of going up, I calmed down to 74. The goal in exercise should be somewhere around 60. So you come into our office and your pulse rate is in the 70s and 80s, I know you're not exercising and doing cardio exercise. If you take elevated blood pressure, if you take your blood pressure in our office and it's elevated, I know that that could be related to pain and function of the body. Your medical doctor is looking for it for a different reason. So if you're in my office and I give you a position, it does not make it wrong. Perspective is from a different angle. For me, I'm concentrating on your blood flow through your spasm. So an elevated blood pressure does not panic me. It just tells me you're not lying to me. It's called malingering. People can come in and express phantom symptoms for whatever reason. And there are people, for the most part, I am so happy that I have the most amazing patients, because they not only tell me the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth all the time, but we go overly into details because I address the emotional part. So if you say to me, you're having trouble sleeping, and I say to you, do you feel safe in your bedroom? Have you ever had sexual trauma that prevents you from falling asleep, going to sleep and staying asleep, waking up refreshed? That means you say yes to me. I'm saying, where's your therapist? Because that person needs to be working with you. Because if you don't sleep well, then you will end up with elevated blood pressure, elevated cholesterol, elevated sugar levels, diabetes, a higher risk for cancer, and a generally moody person. Not going to like it at all. Anxiety is going to be through the roof. Depression is going to be higher. Sleep, the body needs you to sleep well. You also need to have restful and relaxing conversations with people and just in your environment altogether. When it comes to your mental attitude, I really relate that to emotional health. So if you are into what your emotions will do to you, look up emotional pain chart. Sometimes a person comes in and they're not malingering. They just can't identify what is going on in their bodies. They know that they are in discomfort And they've spent quite a bit of money before they came to me trying to identify what's going on. And I say something to them like, oh, you need to. And they're like, it's nothing musculoskeletal. You need me to go home, turn the shower on, and cry? Yes. You asked me for help. You gave me your concerns. I'm telling you, your diagnosis is you need to cry. Your diagnosis may be to curse at someone or something or about a situation. And Thomas may disagree with you. But there are three things that I find that are very helpful to the body when it comes to your attitude. Sometimes, in order to help yourself heal, you have to cry. Sometimes you have to curse. Sometimes you have to cheer. I advocate cursing by writing it out and flushing it away. Don't light any fires. Flush it down the toilet. But if you have to cheer about it, sometimes it's about complimenting someone outside of yourself or complimenting, speaking, and affirming over yourself what needs to be done. So having said all of that, now I get a chance to introduce my friends. And what I'm going to do is that from my left to my right, I'll ask Cheryl to start first, to just tell us who you are. How did you land at this table maybe? How do we connect? Or anything that you may have that can offer to our audience on money matters and their health.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm taking a breath now because that was so amazing. You shared a lot just in that. So a little bit about me. I'm Cheryl Callahan. We birthed Soul Balm probably just before COVID, a few years before COVID, as a ministry to encourage people to invest in their health. I mean, that is my passion. I pray, John 3:2, may you prosper and be in good health, just as your soul prospers. So when we work with clients, that is our goal, and we're holistic, integrative, and one of our, we have a wellness wheel, and one of the principles in our wellness wheel is financial health and wellness. A lot of times people think wellness is just the physical body, it's the spirit, it's the mind, I even say the environment. And so we do include financial health and wellness in coaching clients to get where they want to go. And I say I'm a GPS, I'm like a GPS. You set where you want to go, and I help guide you there. Sometimes I may take you a direction, just like our GPS sometimes say, I don't want to go this way, I want to avoid the tolls, and you may do that, but we try to challenge you in reaching that goal, reaching your destination. And just a little bit about how I even got into this space is I've always loved to read. I've always been a curious child. And I remember being at one of my uncle and aunt's house one weekend. I spent a lot of weekends there, and they had books. He was a professor, so he had books all over the house. And I saw this book that said, it was Back to Eden. And I said, Back to Eden? And I don't know if you're familiar with that book. I opened it up, and I started reading about plants and how plants can heal your body. And it just fascinated me. I didn't go down that path. It was kind of a circuitous route that I even got here. I just always loved just learning about plants and how God designed plants for healing. So long story short, I ended up not pursuing that path initially, going to law school, getting a law degree, getting an economics degree, getting a seminary degree. And then one year I heard the Spirit say, how can you minister if you're not well? And so I'm like, So I went through a journey of really healing myself, or trying to learn more about holistic healing. So I started down that path, then went back to school and got a master's in health and wellness coaching with a concentration in nutrition. And so I started exploring, and eventually, as I said, we birthed Soul Balm. And one of my nieces, funny, my family knows how I am about just living well and being holistically well. So one of my nieces started seeing Dr. Levi, and the first day she saw Dr. Levi, she called me up. She said, "You have to see this. You have to go." Because I was seeing another chiropractor in Silver Spring. She says, "You've got to meet Dr. Levi. You're gonna love Dr. Levi. She's your twin." I said, "Really?" So I'm a little skeptical at first. I said, because, I'm like, how's she know? So I made my first appointment. I don't know how many years ago. That was some years ago. So we've become fast friends, and and she's helping me on my journey to live out my purpose and my passion. So I'm looking forward to hearing more about you from you, and looking forward to continuing to grow on this journey.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. That was wonderful. Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Katie Martin, and I'm the co-founder and attorney managing partner with Martin Legacy Legal. I also run a production company and kind of do documentaries and advocacy storytelling as well. And so that's one of my passions was storytelling as a kid. And I was in ministry for a while, and then went to law school, and then kind of dabbled. I was a JAG with the Air Force, and then also general counsel for the Army. And so my husband and I were both officers for most of our career and represented the government. And then recently we decided really want to shift to helping people protect their investments, we the people. And so shifting from that government space and mindset and taking that expertise and being able to assist people with their dreams, what they're building. How do you look at what you have as assets, investments, and then make sure that as you're creating those and God's giving them to you, that we're kind of the legal GPS to come along, support, protect, and just help people see and really looking at things from a holistic perspective. We kind of like to say with the legacy lens, we look at things kind of we advise our clients in any situation, we kind of look at it from the learn the landscape that you're in. So the L is learn the landscape and examine kind of for your particular situation, what's going on, whether it's money, whether it's, angst about something else, or there's actually a legal issue. And then examine the interest, the heart of the matter. So really listening for, these are the facts of the case, or these are the issues before you monetarily or whatever it is, but what are the interests? What are the systems at play? And how do we understand those? And how can we help people? And then navigate those strategies together with our clients. And then finally stepping out in courage with them sometimes, and then laying out the plan. And so we kind of find that money is tied in and through all of that, but together holistically. And that's how Dr. Levi and I kind of connected is seeing the world from a holistic perspective, that they all connect, it all comes together. And as people, the more that we recognize that, then the more we can tap into one another. And so I'm excited to be here and hear everyone's story. So thank you.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you, Dr. Levi, for having me today. My name is Dr. Mark Brown, and I'm going to go back a little bit further, and I'm going to tell you I was born and raised in Queens, New York, to a two-parent, underprivileged family, but my father was a functional alcoholic, but he taught me a lot of things through that, things not to do, things not to get involved in. I was an athlete all the way back then. I joined the Marine Corps and enlisted in the Marine Corps. I wasn't an officer. I enlisted in the Marine Corps and served 28 years, but most of my jobs consisted of teaching people, training people, teaching people what to think about, how to go about things, and then training them about how to do them. So I was a martial arts instructor in the military. I teach kids martial arts today. I actually help older people get back in shape and teach them things like how to eat right, how to exercise even when they can't get up and run and do things like that, chair exercises, anything, because I taught my Marines back in the day that you can always do something to stay healthy. So the reason I'm here today, I believe, is because Dr. Levi and I met on a run, and I believe I am an action person, so I believe in getting out there and doing it and teaching people and helping them at the same time. Thank you.
Man, I'm so excited to be part of this esteemed group today. So my name is Thomas Skeeter. I'm a board-certified mental health therapist. I'm actually a native son. So I'm from Washington, D.C. I was born at Walter Reed Hospital. My dad was in the military at the time. No, we have so much in common. I was a Department of Justice employee, and I was planning to go to law school. Okay, but let me tell you what happened. So I was part of a ministry training program at my church. And one day I heard very clearly from the voice of God that I don't want you to be a family attorney. I want you to be a family therapist. At that time, I had never been to therapy, never met a therapist. I come from a wonderful family, but my grandfather died very suddenly when I was young due to a heart attack. And it was so interesting that when I heard the voice of God speak to me, he said, okay, you thought family attorney. I told you family therapy. I had no plugs at all, guys, no plugs. But it's so funny, I go home one day and I open my mailbox and there is a booklet from Loyola University, Maryland about their counseling program. Who he calls, he equips. Okay, I did not take the GRE. I did not take the MCAT. I didn't take any of those entrance exams. As a matter of fact, I had taken the LSAT because I was planning to go to law school. So I go to Loyola for an information session. When I hear the stuff they talking about, I felt like Michael Jordan looking at a basket. Like it just all made sense. I knew I was called in the ministry, but I also knew I wasn't going to be in the pulpit because God told me he wanted me with the sheep. He just told me I was going to be a shepherd. And so no, this is real. So what ended up happening was I go to Loyola. I say, hey, I haven't taken the GRE. I haven't even filled out the application. They say, okay, well, we can't do anything but give you a provisional admit. They say, we'll let you take these 2 classes, psychopathology and human development. And then we see how you do, and then we'll go from there. Okay, A+, A+. Once I get locked into that, God took me on this wonderful journey as a mental health therapist. Not only was I able to get healing for myself, but I also was able to model it for other people. And so on that journey and on that pathway, not only did I learn about what was wrong with me, but I also learned what was strong with me. And so being able to identify what was strong, I developed a framework that I utilize at Milestones Mental Health, which is my private practice out of Laurel, Maryland. And it's called Gift, Drift, Shift, and Uplift. Gift, drift, shift, and uplift. And so the gift is allowing people to, first of all, acknowledge that there is something strong or good in all of us. So we first going to acknowledge our gifts, and we're going to operate from there. Then drifts, we don't criminalize people for drifting. Every human being at some point in their lifetime is going to drift. Whether it's I leave this healthy food and eat McDonald's with Christian, or I'm supposed to put some money in the bank, but I buy the shoes. Like we all have drift factors that we need to acknowledge. But then the wonderful thing about psychopathology and about the way I built this framework, it's also introducing people to their shifts. Your shifting behaviors can be just small things. So instead of drinking Diet Coke, I'm going to drink water. You know, instead of me taking that $25 going to Starbucks, I'm going to put it into a stock. You know, so we want to be able to identify the shifts. And then once we've been able to master our shifts, we then can uplift our communities by sharing these words. So if you ask me how I met Marcia, my college best friend introduced us. We hit it off famously from the first time we met. And so it's so funny. I brought my whole family to her. My mother comes to Marcia, my sister, my sons, anybody who needed any type of alignment, I would bring it to her. And so I look at her as she's an alignment and healing professional. And so I operate from that framework with her. And I just been so fortunate to be able to share this information, this message. The thing I want to tell people about money, you talked about curse words. Here's 2 curse words I want people to eliminate for their vocabulary. Try and should. Yes. We're going to get rid of try in 2026. The universe represents intention, and it recognizes intention. My scriptural framework is Ephesians 3:20, to him who can do above and beyond anything we can think or ask, as well as Habakkuk 4, if you have a vision, make it plain, write it, so he who runs may read it. Though the vision may tarry, it will come to pass. So what I say is that we're going to operate from those frameworks. We're going to eliminate try and should, and we're going to move into I did it. And so I did it. So thank you guys for having me today.
Thank you. So thank you all for introducing yourself to our audience. And to you, the audience, we have a seat at the table for you. And that represents not only those who are here present in this room and space, and those of you who are beyond this camera, but certainly for those around the world. I know we have people who are tuning in from around the world, and we want to say to you that money matters because it has its place, but your health is the priority. Because what you heard from my friends around the table, you heard their passions, you heard their positions, and I'm so, oh my gosh, I'm so encouraged because when we have these conversations, we're having these conversations around how does a person really function in their health? So I would say to you, knowing that you have your passion, I would ask this question, any of you can answer it. Knowing that you have a passion and a purpose to do, what thing, 1 thing, 2 things you have done to guard your health, to make sure that you can operate? Thomas is like, I've got an answer for that.
I have one
to make sure that you can. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So for me, and I say this is probably part of my personality as well. My niece teases me because she says I think I'm a princess. Well, I know I'm a queen.
There you go.
And so investing in my health has always been a priority. I may not have had the level of wealth to invest the way I've always wanted to, but even where I was, I always started there. Even with my first job, I had the opportunity to get good government health insurance. So I got the best. I did not want to have to ask anybody's permission when I wanted to see a particular doctor. I wanted to be able to choose my own practitioner. So I paid extra to get the best health insurance that I could get. And I know I have to sacrifice. I don't drive a fancy car, and that's okay because I want to take care of my health and I want to invest in my health. So
I like that. So you made a choice. You chose.
Well, I would say, and I know you can't tell by looking at me, but in October I had 2 heart attacks. Yeah, and Dr. Marcia, she knows that. I was so fortunate to be able to live close to healthcare providers. It was interesting for me. I had just done a 5K 2 weeks before I had the cardiac event. And the first one, Katie, I didn't even know I was having a heart attack. Christian, them tell you they were home. I did not even know it. So as I went back and looked at my numbers, my blood pressure, my blood sugar, all those things, they weren't necessarily in a dangerous range. But what happened to me was I was saying yes too much. So I come from a family of alcoholics and workaholics. When we deal with our problems, we either turn to drinking or working. For me, it was working. And one of the things that I learned from a really good mentor of mine, yes is very expensive. So one of the first things that I will say is a foundation for my health and for my movement moving forward is to understand that yes is expensive. I can say no, and it's a complete sentence, and that every healthy relationship requires boundaries. Amen. So that was my primary takeaway.
Thank you. So are you going to answer that question too, Dr. Mark?
Well, I was going to try to answer.
Please do.
Okay.
And then keep the mic because I have a question that I'd like to ask you directly.
All right, good to go. My foundation for health is to stay active. I have what I call a battle-damaged body, which means it went through a lot while I was in the Marine Corps. But there are some things that I still do that I love that keep me healthy. I can't do a lot of the things that I used to do, but I can still do something to keep me healthy. What I do is I listen to community and family, and that grounds me and keeps my stress level low. And we talked about it earlier, allostatic load, which is accumulated stress over your whole day, your whole body. I try to eliminate that by listening to family, by listening to my body, something I couldn't do when I was in the military. You had to do whatever you need to do while you were going. You couldn't stop. You had to keep going. But now that I'm a little bit older and a little bit wiser, I slow down and listen to myself, my body.
Thank you for that. That was very good, wasn't it? Thank you very much. Because I'm going to say that for all of us who are sitting in this space, we have tried. We're going to strike that out. We should do more. We're going to strike that out. We're going to say we can do. We did it. So Dr. Mark, as my run coach, as I prepare for Mount Kilimanjaro and the Army 10 Mile in October 2026.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I spent a few years running 10 years in a row, and now I'm back after 6 years and a few health detours. But I'm back running. And I remarked earlier about how one pointer you gave to me that has changed how I run. So for most people and we're all running through life. So for those of you at home who are saying, well, I'm not a runner. No, but you may be walking. You may be just getting out of your chair and up and down your stairs. Is there a mantra? Is there something, an affirmation? Is there a word or something that you use to help push you forward? And I'll ask the others of you, because Katie, you may have that as well. Do you have something that you say to yourself that helps hold you accountable in your self-care?
Well, I do. Every day I say to myself, I am a strong, confident, encouraged person, and I need to keep moving in order to keep it that way. So that's my mantra. I get up and I say that to myself, and I get up, and even if I don't feel like doing, let's say, 100 push-ups or whatever it is, I'll do one push-up and say, I accomplished my mission that day.
Like that.
And I do it. And you know, you can't always be at your best, but you can always do something. And that's what I do. I keep it moving. If you stop, you kind of think about it, then you my back hurts. But you know, if you keep moving, you keep going.
I like that.
Hopefully
Katie,
that answers your question.
It does. Thank you. So Katie, do you have something that you use to help you internally keep
Yes.
moving.
No, I would say one of the foundations for me is points of peace. That quiet in the morning or whenever you have it. So the points of peace. But what I will also kind of piggyback on what he said for me is that flow. And one of the things I say to myself is like the flow of the divine and the Most High flowed through me, in me, through me, ushering me into the center of God's will, the deepest, truest expression of myself on the planet. And so part of that is the flow. So when you were talking, I heard flow, right? The movement, flow. And then so part of Optimal Oasis is the flow, the
Mindful
movement, right?
matters.
And so for
Yeah.
me, the flow is divine. The flow brings things in and out of your life, clears things in and out of your life. And so whenever I think about peace and flow, those are the things that protect kind of our health and our mental spaces and all that. So flow. And for me, sometimes the money creeps into those spaces because it's not being attended to in different ways and systems are involved. But I think as we begin to diffuse that and kind of release the pressure valve on those spaces. And that's why I think about when we address money or address topics as part of a holistic pillar and a part of the tabletop, design, we can kind of release the pressure valve and say, yes, money matters, but it's not the primary matter, right? And a lot of times people I find for our clients are not able to see the whole picture. So professionals, trusted ones, those of us around this table, that we help people see the whole picture so that maybe there is a money challenge. You release the pressure valve with a plan, with some form of strategy, and then now health begins to rise. Peace and flow comes back into the picture. So for me, that's the space and kind of the framework that I look at.
Thank you very much for that. I'm going to pause this moment to say this. In the Garden of Eden, to piggyback on the book's title, but the Holy Bible, a collection of books written for us in this time and this season. In the Garden of Eden, there was no doctor there. Physician heal thyself is more than just doctor heal yourself, it's individual heal yourself. I have not studied the history of health insurance and healthcare, but I am certain somebody saw the opportunity to make money and created this business and then took the thing that we naturally did. So if you cut yourself now, your body will heal naturally. That's why as a chiropractor, it is a privilege for me to realign your spine so that your brain can talk to your body to help you heal naturally. And then teach you how to reduce the noise outside that it can interfere with that healing. But left to itself, just like anybody in nature, you will heal. Time, energy, money are three factors that we think of in business. But if we were to remove the money part and allow ourselves to flow in our energy, to give ourselves time to heal, workaholic, your family sounds like my family. We do one or the other. And I chose work. And so and that yes is so important, when we recognize that we are responsible, that the way we invest in ourselves is making sure that we are owning the responsibility of our health. That is the best investment that anybody can get. Ecclesiastes 11:2 tells us to have many. The primary one, in my opinion, ought to be your health. Yeah. Because when you hold it up in your hand, but the way you get to that primary is owning, having that responsibility. So Thomas, you said, you're going to drift and then shift back. Cheryl, in your work, because it sounds like both of you, and this was unintentional, but the universe is so at hand. Because in your work, when you work with people, I know you and I have done a lot of herb work and the conversations around. Cheryl is my tea and tincture lady. We talk teas and tinctures all the time. But are there times when a person is doing something and for me, when I work with someone, I don't often know how to tell someone, you have got to trust yourself through this health journey because the turn back is easy. They're like, it feels worse. And I'm like, okay, that's the body's process of getting rid of the toxins. And there's almost a half belief. I don't think they totally disbelieve me, but they're like, really? Because why does it feel worse? Or you threw up or had diarrhea, and those are positive for me because your body got rid of the toxins. Or you woke up in the middle of the night and you're waking up in the middle of the night every night. And so I know you have cancer because cancer will keep waking you up, jabbing you every night, and movement does not make it feel better. And so relating that to someone, so I said, you were in pain and then you move and it felt better. I'm like, you don't have cancer here. It did not feel better. Oh, we have to go test for that. So when you work with your clients, it sounds similar to what Thomas does. Is there a thing that you, or saying or tag that you ask your clients, your customers, your client, however you describe them, to make sure that they're doing what you need to do? And then right after that, we'll start taking questions from our audience.
Yeah, so it actually depends on the client and their openness to hearing, because sometimes the client just isn't ready. And it requires a level of patience. It requires a level of deep listening to understand where to move the client or support the client in going next. And sometimes it requires direct,
Like, this is what you need to do.
Yes. Recommendations say you need to do A, B, and C there. And when they come back to you, just like you said with your doctor, it's like, okay, the last time we met, we agreed with this was the next thing,
Right.
and you haven't done it, or you've done something different, and maybe it's a drift situation, and you still want to support them and encourage them and empower them to take that next step. Because there may be something else going on, some roadblock that is preventing them from taking that step. So you want to listen for that. You want to listen to what's going on with their heart to understand how to maybe support them in moving.
Okay. Thank you very much. So we have some questions from our friends online. And so we'll take the first question.
So I'll give you the backbone on that. The first piece is that everything that happens organically goes through a seed, time, and harvest protocol. So when you think about your health, you want to be able to, number one, put the right seeds in the ground in terms of your life, whether it's getting the right amount of sleep, drinking the right amount of water, eating the right food, or even being around the right people. So it's being able to understand that we are environmental and community lifted beings. Yeah. So sometimes the energy that we're around, it can have a negative impact on our behaviors without us recognizing it. So first understanding seed, time, and harvest. And then understanding that the human body is very resilient, as well as your finances. Just because you made mistakes in one season, that does not mean you cannot make changes and then have benefits in another. So we want to understand seed, time, and harvest. And then we want to get as many positive behaviors as possible going so we can get the benefits of compound interest. And so it's like we got to learn how to compound. And it's like when we start stacking days, like Dr. Mark said, okay, if I did 1 push-up today, then I can do 2 tomorrow, then I can do 8 on Wednesday. I just want to compound the positive behaviors. And then I also want to get rid of anything that is creating drag or drift. So like if I'm overspending, if I'm overeating, if I'm over complaining, if I'm doing any of those things, I want that part to be over. And what I want to do is I just want to get locked in and already become who I want to be. So like before I became a therapist, I spent time seeing it in my mind. Your mind is your most powerful tool. And so once I was able to mentally get a picture for it, then I just started walking it. And then once I started, I didn't stop. So that's the last piece. Do not give up.
Do not give up.
Amen.
Thank you very much for that
Amen.
question.
Amen.
Yes. Do you have 3?
Yeah, just quickly. The first thing, as all of you were talking, one of the things I heard was for clients, for patients, for each one of us to go from a passive to active, right? Whether
that's a good
sometimes you're responsive versus preemptive, right?
Very good.
Make your list. Go to your doctor. You just kind of sit and wait for this thing to drop on you or someone to miraculously heal you. But go where you are adding questions from the intake form. Show up and have questions ready for your therapist. Show up. So go from passive to active. And we say this to clients, whether it's finances, whether it's trademarks, whether it's a legal issue, is don't wait for something to happen. Listen to what's happening and keep it moving. And second, tap into your community. Holistically tap into your community. And then 3, grace for
Give
your
yourself
journey.
grace.
Yes.
I like that. Thank you. Thank you very much. I recognize that the Holy Bible is a collection of books, and I'm privileged to have studied the parts of the Torah that was open to me, the Bhagavad Gita, the writings of the Bab and Baha'u'llah, and Zoroastrian words, and even the Bhagavad Gita that I have at home, if I had not mentioned that. So I grew up in South America and Guyana where we have multi-religions and so multi-sects of Christianity too. So I got a chance to see just about everything. One thing is that I know God is reached by many paths. Firm believer in that. My book is the Holy Bible. I choose which books to enjoy. I'm led by an amazing pastor, an amazing church community, but I choose which ones I use to guide me. The book of Proverbs. So I praise in Psalms, I draw wisdom from the book of Proverbs, and then I use Ecclesiastes as my backup book. There are 4 ladies that I study in the Bible: Deborah, Esther, Miriam, and Lydia. So I choose to use the Bible first. And then there are a couple of other books that are mainstays for me. And so I'll have you share, Dr. Mark. Cheryl, everybody probably can name a book or books that...
the book that I use is the same one Dr. Marcia uses. I use the Bible, and when I think about health, I go to Daniel chapter 1, verse 12, and it talks about how they wanted to eat more vegetables. And that's how we got the Daniel fast. And it helps you move forward, it helps you build your body, and it gives you an opportunity to think and to share with others how you're going to move forward in your space.
Very good.
I'm going to follow suit with everybody else with the Bible. Multiple places, multiple characters. I'm a Joseph guy.
Ooh.
No pit, no palace. So I understand what it's like to have to bounce back after your family has turned on you.
Oh,
that's a different
good.
table talk
That's
conversation.
a different table talk. We got to have that one.
But then I got another really good one, and this is an older book, but it's Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. That's such a good book.
One.
Yeah, and it's like a foundational book. It was written before so many things that have happened today, but it predicted a lot of it.
It did.
So if you can get through the language, it's pretty thick, but it is a really good book, and you can even go on YouTube and just listen to it. But Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich is a good one, in addition to the books of the Bible.
Yes.
So I'm going to say yes and amen to what everyone said, particularly with respect to using the Bible as a tool to learn and grow in this area. I'm going to shift a little bit from a specific book because there's so many great books out there. I think one of the biggest ways to grow in this space in terms of getting, helping improve your health and finances is having a great coach. And I'm not saying that because I'm a coach, but just because you need a mentor. Because I mean, you can pick up just even with the Bible. I think about the Ethiopian eunuch reading the Bible and had no idea of what he was reading or how to interpret what he was reading. So he needed someone to help support. So particularly if you're new to this area, just finding someone that can help you build up your muscles, build up that strength. So that's how I would answer that question.
Very good. Thank you. Yes, we all need a coach. I've got many.
So I concur with the Bible, obviously. One thing I will also say, too, is the book that really changed how I think was called Cleaning Up Your Mental Mess. It was by Dr. Caroline Leaf.
Yes.
And for me, it was all about neurocycling and understanding the neuroscience and what's going on, because that had obviously sets up the framework for how our bodies function, right? So you get aligned by Dr. Levi, you get yourself together in therapy with Thomas, you're moving and grooving, but understanding for yourself how our body's neuroplasticity, neurocycling happens, and the ability to shift and drift and all, not grift. Sorry, it was rhyming. But the idea that we do have a lot of power, our bodies heal ourselves, but to understand how to set up the right environment and framework for that to happen. So cleaning up your mental mess, because that's going to affect your money and your health all the way.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you. And so we've got a few more minutes. And so I would like us to use this time, unless we have another question to address. We do? Okay, let's go ahead and get another question in. So while Thomas is getting the mic, I'm going to say, you pray. You pray. And then you pray some more. And then you pray some more.
No, I love that. And so just to answer that question specifically, I also say in addition to prayer, you got to change your relationship with time. So like the God that we serve is not on our timetable, we're actually on his. And so I've had experiences where I've had losses that got wiped out in a day. And then I had a recourse that allowed me to overcome in 30 minutes. So the first thing that we have to do is change our relationship with time. And instead of being so focused on product, we need to learn how to be focused on process.
Say that more.
So instead of being focused on product, we need to be focused on process. If I have the right processes in place, the product will take place. If I do not operate with the right process, the product will not happen. So while I'm waiting, that gives me an opportunity to be constantly evaluating my process. So if I sleep between 6 and 8 hours a night, I'm really sharp in therapy the next day. But if I doom scroll, I'm then going to have to push myself through it. So it's being able to get back to identifying the drift, but understanding that while I'm in the time, I got to change my relationship with time. And as we begin to change our relationship with time, our anxiety, our stress, all those things go away. The human brain was not meant to predict the future. It was meant to process truth. So what happens is we end up trying to predict the future all the time. And that's where all the stress and anxiety comes from. Whereas if we would just take focus on, okay, my responsibility today, do 1 push-up. Okay, tomorrow, 2 push-ups. Then what I then do is I take the responsibility away from time and I reassign it to me and my personal responsibility.
Thank you. To add to that,
I'd like to take a piece of that.
Yeah.
So what came to mind actually for me was the parable of the soils.
That's right.
And so as we're planting the seed, we know the soil is our heart. So are we planting the seed in good soil? So what is our perspective in the seed that we're trying to plant? And we also know that different seeds requires different harvest time. So are we waiting in the waiting? What are we doing? We're cultivating in the waiting. So
this is another table talk. This is another table talk. We're going to hold that. I'm enjoying that. Come on, Katie.
No, I was just going to tap into that. Water the seed.
Gotta
Right? Water the seed. And what does it look like? If it's a money issue, have you really done an audit of where you're at? Are you tracking on where your resources are? Do you need legal, financial, therapeutic assistance? What are you doing so that while you're waiting, whatever that time looks like, mentally, internally or externally, you are watering the seed. It is active versus passive.
Absolutely. So I heard that. So don't pray without action. Faith without works is dead, right? So you have got to put what you intend to put into place. Once you're clear-minded, I heard that making sure that your soil that you're cultivating, and it depends on the harvest. Is it an annual or perennial? Are you getting fruits or flowers? Oh, my word.
Some is 3 months, some is...
Absolutely.
some is 3 months, some is 6 months, some is 9 months.
Different
I
times.
remember I had to wait 2 years for something I was fervently praying for. So yeah, it was a great harvest.
And it's also being season sensitive. So we get taught that there are 4 seasons: spring, summer, winter, and fall. But there's also due season and do not season. So we have to also be able to identify the season we're in.
Do that, right?
No, because like
do and do not.
Yeah, because sometimes we're in a do not season, but if we don't recognize that, we can get ahead of ourselves.
Oh my gosh.
So it's being able to understand that there's really 6 seasons, not 4.
And I'm going to piggyback and say that. So Thomas coached me into a male mindset for business. So as a girl, I operated in a different frame. And when we expanded the office, we hopped offices and I doubled the office space, doubled the staff. And I struggled with the harshness that was required, which means your matrix have to run the business. And I was at conflict within myself, out of alignment. And so he coached me, was it about a year and a half?
Yeah.
That man sat me down and would ask me some of the most raw questions, all so that he could allow me to shift into the zone that I needed to operate as a businesswoman, that I would make decisions that may not feel kind and fuzzy and warm, but was necessary. And boy, did I help my mental health. Because I was also dealing with some health issues and I was struggling and ballooning from carrying it all. And so he came along and he sharpened, Claire, when we talked about coaching, he sharpened my mindset. And it probably took about a year and a half before I could even see the fruits. In the meantime, maybe 6 people left our office under our care because I was not the leader for them. I was not the boss. I was not the CEO for them because I didn't know it myself. So although they were great people attracted to us and our process, because I had not healed or understood where I needed to stand, that ambiguity changed how the format. So sometimes God has us waiting because we don't know what we're supposed to do. He puts us in a Joanna moment. I call it my female version of Jonah, because we don't know what we don't know. And so be clear, pray, be clear on your mission, and then put what's written for you into action so it can happen. I'm going to take this time to say thank you to our online audience. You have been phenomenal by being present with us during this season. And I greatly appreciate, I know there are tons of other questions, and you know what I try to do is I'll gather the questions together, and in a response, I'll try to group them to answer. When the slides were rolling, they were the information for all of our guests today with me: Cheryl Callahan, Katie Martin, Dr. Mark Brown, and Thomas Skeeter. We will also send it out when we're sending out. When the recording goes out, you'll be able to get access to them so that you can continue if you have one-on-one questions for them. In this space, I want to thank each of you for being here at the table with me. I know we continue to part two. It has been a privilege and an honor. And to the most fantastic team that a person could ever ask for, Team Creative and Team Clinical and Team Optimal Oasis, for supporting me and being here with me on this journey. I invite you to learn more about what I'm doing at drmarcialevi.com, just drmarcialevi.com. You can join our clinical process at optimalcarechiro.com. You can join our wellness process at Optimal Oasis. In the meantime, we send you a lot of love and a lot of light. And if anybody has anything that they'd like to share to end off with for our guests, please do not hesitate to say to them. But I will say thank you for being present. Is there anything that you want to share with them? A word? I know you've got something to say. Close it out.
Well, this is the thing. We're living in difficult times, but we're built to get through it. So what I want everybody to understand is team. That means together, everybody achieves more. And like, as you're spending time thinking about your health and your money, I also want you to think about your team. So find the right team and then get locked in with them. Thank you.
Ooh, I think like everybody should have final words. Find your team and locked in. We'll take that. Come on, Dr. Martin.
I'm just going to say community matters. Community and health and community moving forward. Community matters.
Yes, community matters. Team, community matters.
Yes. I like the quote from Howard Thurman where he says, "Do not ask what the world needs, but ask what makes you come alive."
Whoa.
Figure out what that is and do that. And so we encourage our clients, every one of you online, everyone here, to figure out what makes you come alive and do that. And then believe that not only do you have it in you, but you have everything. God has already given you all that you need for that.
I like that. Thank you.
Amen. I'm just going to say two things. One, invest in your health. It's worth it. And emphasize the team and community. So lean into your community.
Very good. So we invite you to maintain your health as you maximize your potential. And don't forget, mindful movement matters.